Hello and welcome to another episode of Editorial. I am Shubham Chohan. Something looks off, doesn't it? So before I begin, let me clear the big question you may have immediately before we go further. Our managing editor Siddaramaiah is on a break for 1 week. He will be back with his show starting next Monday. Till then, I will be filling in for him here on Editorial and the 9 p.m. live show. So with that out of the way, let's discuss the subject at hand. If you're watching this from the southern state of Karnataka, be ready to shell out more the next time you visit a petrol pump. The Karnataka government, led by Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, on June 15 increased petrol and diesel prices by 3 rupees and 3.02 rupees per litre respectively. As a result, petrol prices in Bengaluru rose to 102.84 rupees per litre from 99.84 rupees per litre, and diesel prices rose to rupees 88.95 a litre from 85.93 rupees a litre. The government says increasing this would mean more money in their kitty, and the citizens are of course furious. So let's understand this entire matter of fuel price hikes, taxes, and most importantly, the freebies and what do they actually stand for? Because mind you, these freebies have a critical role to play here. Let's get started. Okay, so like I said in the introduction, the Congress government in Karnataka hiked petrol and diesel prices. In fact, this was the first such hike by any state after the Lok Sabha elections. The Karnataka government increased the sales tax on petrol from about 26% to around 30%, while for diesel, it was hiked from 14.34% to 18.44%. As a result, consumers will have to shell out more. The government says it needs more money to fund essential public services and development projects, and hence by increasing the tax, they'll get more money to do the same. In fact, I'll read out what Chief Minister Siddaramaiah had to say. He said, and I quote, "The additional money from the hike will be utilized to improve basic infrastructure and on development projects." Karnataka's taxes on fuel remain lower than most South Indian states and states with a similar size economy like Maharashtra. The then double-engine BJP government collaborated to divert Karnataka's resources to other states. The state BJP government kept reducing the VAT on petrol and diesel while the central government increased its own taxes. So there was a review meeting and a cabinet meeting too where this idea of increasing fuel prices was deliberated. And on Saturday, the move was announced. Reportedly, with this price revision, the government expects to generate about 2,000 crore rupees this fiscal. 2,000 crore rupees. Now I'll quickly give you some context to understand how this really works before we get into Karnataka's case specifically. You see, the prices you and I pay for petrol and diesel are linked to global oil prices. If oil prices increase, the end consumer ends up shelling out extra money because it's expensive, global oil is expensive. By that logic, if global oil prices fall, we should be paying less, right? That usually never happens. It's because in the second scenario, the center and state government usually levies more taxes to make up for that shortfall. And the result is we still end up paying high amount for petrol and diesel. Net, profit for the government, for the consumers, not quite. Like for instance, crude oil prices were at $89.46 per barrel in April this year. In June, crude oil prices came down to $80.59 per barrel. But are we paying lesser for fuel? By Karnataka's example, clearly not. You can see this graph on your screen to help understand this trend better. This is Delhi's graph just as an example. In India especially, fuel prices are linked to one more factor, and that factor is elections. Before the 2024 Lok Sabha polls, for instance, the centre slashed petrol and diesel prices by 2 rupees per litre. And whenever in need of more revenue, especially during non-election period, the centre or state bumps up the tax portion of the fuel price, which is why we end up paying more. Now, the Karnataka government's critics say it's just opposition rule states that are bumping up fuel prices and causing inconvenience to the public. That's entirely not true either. As of today, Telangana has the highest petrol price at 109.41 rupees per litre, where there is the Congress government. Then there is Andhra Pradesh at 108.98 rupees per litre, where we recently got an NDA government. Then Madhya Pradesh, a BJP government at 107.52 rupees per litre. Next, Bihar, another NDA government at 107.12 rupees per litre. Then Kerala, where the communists are in power, at 105.68 rupees per litre. Then West Bengal, where the Trinamool Congress is in power, at 105.17 per litre. So basically, governments cutting across party lines feature in this list, because at the end of it, each government, regardless of which party, would never say no to extra revenue. Now, let's come to the third part, which is the case of Karnataka. Interestingly, just as the outrage over fuel prices was peaking, the CM and Deputy CM threw another curveball today. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah said he will review the bus fares in the state, hinting that this hike was overdue. Deputy Chief Minister DK Shivkumar meanwhile hinted at the possibility of increasing the monthly water charges as the Bengaluru Water Supply and Sewage Board is running under financial loss. He said, and I quote, "Drinking water charges have not been hiked in Bengaluru for the last 14 years. It has become imperative to increase the water tariff as the water board is not able to pay the electricity bill. It is also difficult to pay the salaries of the staff." Of course, nothing official yet. So be that as it may, let's come back to petrol. What was the specific need to hike fuel prices? You remember the 5 poll guarantees of the Congress which they said they'll implement if voted to power? The free bus travel, some units of power every month, some money each female head of the family would get, etc., etc. And we will have those guarantees running on the screen for you. While the ideas sound great, the fact is that these ideas cost money. The government can't just go on a random spending spree without realizing its ramifications. Because at the end of the day, you have an entire state to run with taxpayers' money, right? Now, what is happening is that somewhere down the line, one is realizing or seeing rather the actual financial cost of running these schemes. These 5 guarantees of the Congress benefited about 5 crore people, costing the exchequer about 36,000 crore rupees in 2023-2024. For 24-25, the state government has allocated 52,000 crore rupees for these schemes. There's more. Apparently, this is probably the first time in Karnataka that annual borrowings have exceeded 1 lakh crore rupees in one fiscal year. So that means more expenses. In fact, politically too, this has turned out to be quite expensive for the Congress-led government. As per reports, over the past 12 months, the state government has come under fire from its own legislators, that is Congress legislators, as they complain that all funds were allocated to just the 5 guarantees. In July 2023, Deputy Chief Minister DK Shivkumar asked legislators not to ask for development funds for a year. Since then, there have been repeated complaints from Congress MLAs publicly expressing dissatisfaction over allocation of funds for development work. Effectively, what the legislators are saying is that if all or a large chunk of the money goes just for these schemes, what about the other development works? What about the roads, metro, or even planning your cities better? Now mind you, the Congress government is not alone in giving these freebies. The AAP government in Delhi, for instance, does it. Jagan Mohan Reddy gave it while he was CM in Andhra, and even the Modi government does it. So does the Karnataka example mean that freebies are bad and that it should be stopped completely? That's not exactly what we are saying. Many of these schemes do benefit especially the poor. Like I said, about 5 crore odd people in the case of Karnataka. At the same time, the planning cannot be as haphazard as this, where you make tall promises in elections, come to power, and then realize how financially steep it is. And to do almost like damage control, then you increase tax on petrol, you increase cess on liquor, vehicles, etc. Because at the end of it, these welfare schemes or schemes are for the people, right? The government is there for the people. So ensuring there is some sort of a balance, that would be a good place to start with. That's all we have for this episode of Editorial. Do let us know what you think in the comments and any feedback that you may have for us. And yes, like I said, our managing editor Sujit Nair will be back on Monday and I'll be filling in till then. Thanks for watching.
Stay ahead with our cutting edge news app. Instantly access the latest shorts in just 1 minute and breaking news in just 50 words. Download now for a smarter, faster news experience.